everybody. Welcome to my little corner where there's no wrong way to play with paper. And today we're going to deal with those border strips and paper strips that we have all over the place, right? Well, not everywhere, but they tend to migrate. I'm thinking they migrate and they multiply. They tuck themselves here and there, and then you go back, there's way more than you thought. But today I'm going to go over another way to use them, one of my favorite ways to use them, and it uses up a lot of them at one time. So anything that I talk about, it's not probably my idea. I have probably seen it on YouTube, on Patreon, on Pinterest, and so have you. But this is just a little reminder. Remember to use those scraps. Don't just toss them in the trash. What can we do with them? My last video that dealt with the border strips and paper scraps, strips, I went over how to make your own embellishments. And I'm going to share some of those because I continued to make them after the video. So I thought I would share some. Now I was playing with these little owls and I will share those. But I told you I needed to knock out some pink scraps, and so I did. Let me get closer here. I will put them on here. Now, some of these have like a cooking theme. Some of them are just random. This one says seeds. I did just a scallop with a little love. This one has a scale, so I would consider that cooking again. I had some chipboard left over that I really wanted to use up, and so I did that. Okay, so I'll put these up close so that you can see what I've done. Now, I would just put these in my pink binder, or you may see these in a giveaway. And remember, when we do this, I do this, when you do this, monochromatic. I have found for myself that is the way to go. While none of these are my idea by any means, I do think that using monochromatic and or color combinations that you really like is the way to do it. You will use them. It is wonderful if we all put the embellishments together, right? But then if we don't use them because they're really busy and we can't fit them on a layout, well, that's not going to work, right? Because then you've made all these embellishments, you have all these pretty things, but they're just sitting there and you're not using them. So I encourage you to definitely stay monochromatic. I think my little sticker came off of this one. I'm going to put it there. I don't know that that's where it went. Need to put that some glue. Now these, the swans are from some paper that I didn't really care for, but I like the swan embellishment. Well, I made an embellishment, right? I fussy cut it, and then I took some brown and navy scraps, and I made a set of 3. These would work great on a page, and I will store these in my brown folder, binder, page protector, however you want to do it. I've shown how I do that. Now, some of these I made on that list video, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know which ones, all right? I do kind of have some color combinations here, so let's sort these a little bit. Pink, some green, some pink, some green. Teal and pink, I see pink. Whatever I see, right? And these two are just kind of random on their own. So, I continued what I was doing. I used that entire Dollar Tree sticker sheet. And I just kept making embellishments, right? Now for me, when I store these in my color binders, let me see if I can get these together here. I'm a hot mess over here. Now I would store, let's do this. This is confusing me. How am I supposed to show you if it's confusing me, right? Okay, so then I would store these in brown and or orange, and I would store these in teal and or pink, and I would literally store them in sets of 3. Now I'll go slow, try, because I know it doesn't focus very well when I go too fast. I would store these in sets of 3 so that I could use them on a page. But if you're a card maker, oh my gosh, right? Just get some brown cardstock, make a card, and stick that right on there. It would totally work. So those are those sets. Let's see here. Let me share my other sets. Again, I'm sorry if it's a repeat. I don't remember exactly what I shared. Now these are random. They don't really have a set. Okay, these two I would probably store together, and then these are by themselves. And then I made a butterfly one just because I had some butterfly. Actually, it was from a card somebody sent me, and I fussy cut these butterflies. And I just used up some green scraps and some gold. And there we go. Now I am going to use some of these in today's example. In fact, I believe it will be these. So I'm going to set those aside and show you how you can use them. Okay. Then I did a bunch of pink. Let me get these out of the way. I already showed these, right? And just a bunch of red. Did I show these? I don't remember. I'll show them again. Oh my goodness. Now, sometimes when I have some leftover, like I had these little flowers, I went ahead and I put some gems in them. And when I store these in my pink binder, I know I didn't because I haven't talked about this. When I store these in my pink binder, I will store this all as a set. So then I can use it on a page. Okay, I would probably, because I recognize these as being from the same chipboard, store these two as a set because they're like, and this one I would store on its own with an extra scallop because it's the same paper and you can cut it in half, tuck it, you know, whatever you'd like to do. I'd probably store this extra scallop with this, and these might just end up in my binder. I'd probably store that with that also. And then I just made a random scallop. Okay, so these two I'd probably store together, this one on its own. But you get the idea. I like to make sets, like items, so that it's easier for me when I go to use them. That's me personally and what I like to do. Okay, so there's all that fun goodness. Some more ways. Now, if you did not see that first video on how I came up and how I do these, definitely check out my Scraps to Embellishment series that I will link below, along with anything else I start gabbing about, which around here you never know what that's going to be. Okay, so let me put this up. Here we go. All right, so now let's go into all of these border strips. In the last video, I showed you that I take my border strips and all of my scraps, and I showed you that entire process in that video and how I sort them by color. I sort them by color because, like I've already said, I like to do things monochromatic so that it's easier for me to use the embellishments that I make. Multicolored embellishments just don't work for me. It's not that I don't think they're beautiful, and I've made tons of them. I just don't use them. I can't justify making them if I don't use them. Does that make sense? Okay. So one of the first ways I like to use all those random strips, uh-oh, I dropped half of my stuff here, is this here. I like to make base pages. So I'm going to show you 3 examples of base pages that I like to use, okay? The reason I like to use the base pages is because it gets rid of a ton of scraps, of border strips specifically. This one layouts basically a lot of different size scraps. The other 2 are literally border strips. That's all I use to make them, period. A couple little bigger pieces, but honestly, you could do the entire thing with border strips, and you could do this with border strips. Just layer it, give it some texture, and then, you know, if you wanted to, you could do different configurations, right? You could do a 4x6, you could do 2 3x4s, you could go this way, have a journaling block and a main one, and you could take some strips and do it. You could put your title wherever you wanted. You could turn it this way and use it that way, and use 2 4x4s, right? I tried to be a little more organized this time. You could go like this. You could go like this. You could do just 2 3x4s. I mean, it's endless, right? Like you could do 2 3x4s, a title here, a journaling block there, and there's a page, right? You could take one of the ones that we made. You could put like lovely here. Could we do this? I wasn't planning on doing this, but hey, since we're here, You could do a tag over there. You could tuck this in because this paper was my scrap. So I used it there. It's the only one I used up there, but I did have it. And this is repeating the banner, right? What else do I got over here? Let me see. There's this one. It says Home Sweet Home. You could just put that right down there and it would work. You could put it up here and it would work. Not enough contrast for me, but totally could down here. Could do this over here. It says Lovely. Let's see, did I already use that one? I think I did. You could put this, let's say you had some ice cream pictures, right? You could totally go like this and have your 2 photos there and your title, journal. It could be like the quickest page ever. I thought I had one that matched that. Oh, look, I do. So then you could do that and you could do this over here. I don't know that the sentiments match, but you get the idea, right? So there's lots of different ways. You could put this up on foam tape. You could put this down here as something instead. And you wouldn't need a whole lot more embellishments. I mean, you just have your title, maybe a couple little things that you would find over here. I mean, it's endless is what I'm getting at. Okay, so there's this. That's the one way. You can do this down the middle. I've seen this done down the middle. I've seen people do the entire page of it. I'm not that patient. I've seen people do it diagonal. That works too. There's no wrong way to do this. Okay, so there's that one. Now, I also like to play with different options and different backgrounds. I get tired of white. Love white. It's safe, but I get tired of it. This is one of the way we have a ton of white scraps. A ton. Now, these ones are different flavors, if you want to say. They're like monochromatic prints because I recently did a white layout and that used a lot of these, so I used this. But I've done this with all white. You could do an arrow. You could do a fishtail like I did on the last. Or, remember I showed you in a few videos ago all these that I punch out and I needed to put away? Well, I just simply inked them a little bit, gave them a little dimension, and used them at the end of my strips here as a header, if you will. You know, like when we write a paper in college, I used to have a header. Okay, you could put your title. You could go across here. Let's see, this is one way I've done this. And I've done this different colors, different styles. You name it, I've done it. But I like it because it uses a lot of strips. You could go down further. I've seen people put them down and have hearts at all hearts. Now I did not put any embellishments or gems, or you can put these all crooked and have them dancing around the page like that. Because I don't know what other colors may be in my photos. Whatever other colors were in my photos is the gems I would put in the middle of my flowers. So I leave that blank. It's a canvas, right? It's a base. It's somewhere to start. So you could do that kind of page with that. I kept a few extra strips that have the same print, monochromatic print, in case I wanted to put them somewhere. I will put those with this page, and you know me, I put them on in a baggie, and then I will washi tape them to the back. You could just do 2 4x6s, right? You could do that way. You could do 1 4x6, do a few more of these little tabs over here or coming up from the bottom, have a journal block or title here. That would work, okay? You could also do just a grid of 3. It's endless. You could turn them this way and have a grid of 4. Okay, you could do 4x4s. It's just a base. Hence the reason it's called a base page. That's what Miss Janet Madison taught us. And I literally have run with this. And you guys have seen me put base pages together. And I promise you, next month, I'm doing a layout every single day for page kits. I'm going to make a couple of page kits. Well, with all three of these, and I will use them next month. You will see me put them together, okay? I also made a little baggie of extra butterflies, and I put some flowers in there so I could use if I wanted to put them in a cluster. Now, you're not limited to using white. You can add whatever color you want to this when you figure out what photos you're going to use. That's the funnest part about monochromatic. You can add a color to it. At least I think you can. Now, my favorite way to get rid of border strips, and this is funny because if you follow Miss Janet Madison, you know that she recently had a serendipity where she did a bunch of squares, and I have never called it that. I've never heard of that actually before I watched her beautiful video, and I'll definitely link that below. But I've always called it patchwork because I grew up with quilters, and that's what we called it, patchwork quilts. That's what they remind me of. This is kind of the same concept. When you do have strips of fabric, you make patches or stripped squares. And that's what this base page is. Let me get rid of that. So this base page is simply that. I took a piece of 4x4 thin cardstock. You could, Janet showed another way to do that. I'm not gonna go over that because I don't want to take away from her. I just find it a little funny that I kind of did this at the same time. I've been holding off for this. There's a reason I did not post this earlier. I've definitely have had this going, but you just sit there and glue strips of paper to it, and then this is just put on there, right? Now, you can configure these squares any way you want. I'm going to say this again. Do it in monochromatic. You will use it faster. I promise. Just try it. Just make one or two, okay? Especially with brown scraps. Now, for me, brown is a neutral, and I use a lot of brown. It's probably my second favorite color to red. And so I love wood grains. I love texture that comes with brown. Maybe it's because I grew up on a farm. I don't know. There's a lot of wood and a lot of barns. I don't know why, but it's one of my favorites, which is kind of an ugly color, right? It's the color of dirt. But there is so much beauty in what I see as gifts from God. And I don't know. Brown just speaks to me, and everybody's going to have their own color, right? It's just definitely one of my favorite colors. My husband says red's my favorite color because I'm a Spitfire. Could be true. Probably it's true, but that's besides the point. So you could take, and you could get 5 photos on here. All you would literally have to do is plop 4x4 photos on here. And then what if we were to take these and we let these shine, right? If we had a 4th one, we could put it here, but I would make this my journal block. I would layer, am I in frame? I would layer, I'd make it just a little under 4 and put a journal block right here and let this be the edging of that. And then you could just flop down 4 photos, done. And you've used border strips here, you've border strips in all of these. It would be gorgeous. It would totally be gorgeous. You could do it with the swans, right? Remember I told you I like the swans? Here, let me grab the other 2. Totally could. Now in this one, I don't really see a title that sticks out, but that's okay. I mean, we could add a title wherever we wanted, okay? So you could do that too. I would probably go like this because the fishtail's going a certain way. I'd probably pop them up on foam tape, but this would totally work too, okay? You could add color, okay? Like I said before, pick a color. It doesn't matter. What if we wanted to do green? And we added green to each of these. It would very much so work. I only had one of that embellishment, but you could add whatever color you wanted. You can also move these around. It doesn't have to stay like this. You could simply, you ever seen the old school, I am so about to date myself, the old school laminate that had the squares that looked like wood grain back in the 70s, and they would wishy-washy, basically, right? They would go one way, and then the next way, you could do this. And that could be, right? You could use that way, and you could put a grid of photos on here. You could take two, well, I don't have two 6x4s, but you could do two 6x4s. You could do a 4x6 and two 3x4s. I'm sorry if I'm not straight. I'm never straight. Put your title here. You could put your title here. I mean, it's endless. I think this is gorgeous. I love to use brown strips of paper like this. I also like to use color combinations, teal and yellow, in this kind of thing where you just literally take and you're gluing down strips of paper. And I like pink and teal together. I like red and brown together. I almost did some red and brown ones, but I got lazy. I'm not gonna lie. I got tired of it. So these are just some of my ideas that you can do. There's no wrong way. You could even, I mean, I guess you could, if you wanted to. I don't know why I moved that one. I should have moved the middle one. But you could move them around, right? And do something like that if you wanted to. Put a 4x4 photo here. Do I have 4x4 photos, Matt? Put a 4x4 photo here and use this as a large journaling. You could journal, you could put a title, you could embellish it. Do whatever you want. There's no wrong way to do this ever. Okay, so those are my base page ideas with border strips. I do these, I don't want to say all the time, but when I find myself with a lot of border strips, especially of one color, because sometimes, you know, colors we use in seasons, so forth and so on. I will do these type of base pages and then make little page kits with them. I hope that gives you some more ideas. I hope you're having as much fun as I am. I'm going to not do another border strip scraps to embellishment right now. Down the road, I might do another one. I'm going to do a little something different for the next scraps to embellishment, and I hope that you will join me. Check out those links below. I'll definitely put the series where I went over the first scraps to embellishments with border strips, where I made all these embellishments. And I hope you have a very blessed day. I have some really fun stuff coming up next week, and I have some of my scrappy pals that are going to join me. So I will talk to you later. Bye. Be blessed.